Today, I have traveled to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where I have come to pay my respects to none other than Anne Hannis Trotter Bailey, also known as Mad Ann Bailey. One of the biggest things that sets Anne apart from the other heroes throughout history and throughout time is that she was a woman. And there are not too many women heroes when it comes to war stories. I will tell you a little bit about Anne and what she done. Anne Hannis Trotter Bailey, also known as Mad Ann, for her acts of bravery and heroism that were considered to be somewhat eccentric for a woman of her time. She worked as a frontier scout and messenger during the Revolutionary War. Anne Hannis was born in Liverpool, England in 1742. She was formally educated and learned to read and write. Both of her parents had died by the time she turned 18. Anne was poor, had a hard time earning enough money to survive. When she was 19, she sailed to America and lived with relatives in Virginia near Staunton in the Shenandoah Valley. Anne married Richard Trotter, a seasoned frontiersman and experienced soldier, in 1765 and had one son named William. As more and more people moved west, fights broke out between settlers and the Native Americans who already lived in the area. The governor of Virginia organized border militia to help calm the area. Richard Trotter joined this militia. At the Battle of Point Pleasant on October the 19th, 1774, Native Americans under the Shawnee Chief Cornstalk attacked the Virginia militia, hoping to halt their advance into the Ohio country. After a long and furious battle, Cornstalk retreated. The Virginians, along with the second force led by Lord Dunmore, the royal governor of Virginia, marched into the Ohio country and compelled Cornstalk to agree to a treaty ending the war. Called the First Battle of the American Revolution by some, this conflict prevented the Native Americans from becoming allies to the British. Although the settlers won the battle, there were massive casualties on both sides. Richard Trotter was killed in that battle. Immediately upon learning of her husband's death, Anne left her young son in the care of neighbors, dressed in the garb of a frontiersman, and set out to avenge her loss. She became known to whites and Indians alike as Mad Ann. After several years living on her own, Anne met John Bailey, a member of a legendary group of frontier scouts called the Rangers, who were defending the Roanoke and Catawba settlements from Indian attacks. He seemed to enjoy Mad Ann's rough ways, and they were married November the 3rd, 1785. In 1791, Anne Bailey single-handedly saved Fort Lee, which is now Charleston, West Virginia, from certain destruction by hostile Indians with a 3-day, 200-mile round trip to replenish their supply of gunpowder. After hours of riding, she reached Fort Savannah at Louisburg. There, gunpowder was quickly packed aboard her horse and one additional mount before she reversed her direction and galloped back to Fort Lee. With Anne's return, the siege was lifted, the attackers repulsed. For her bravery, Anne was given the horse that had carried her away and brought her safely back. The animal was said to have been beautiful black, sporting white feet and a blazed face. She dubbed him Liverpool in honor of her birthplace. Anne Bailey was 49 years old when she made this famous ride. Anne became a legend among other settlers, and she was always welcome in their homes. A poem was written in 1861 by Charles Robb called Anne Bailey's Ride. When John Bailey died in 1802, Anne gave up her home and lived in the wilderness for over 20 years. Again, a widow and in her late 50s, Anne went to live with her son, but her love for riding and of the wilderness had not ceased. For many years afterwards, she could be seen riding from Point Pleasant to Lewisburg and Staunton, carrying mail and as an express messenger. In 1818, Anne moved with her son and his family to his new farm in Gallia County, Ohio. Instead of asking her to stay with his family, her son built her a cabin nearby so she could still feel independent. In 1823, Anne Bailey was interviewed by Anne Royale, a local reporter. When speaking of her adventures and bravery, she said, "I always carried an axe and an auger, and I could chop as well as any man. I trusted in the Almighty. I knew I could only be killed once, and I had to die sometime." Anne Hannes Trotter Bailey died at Gallipolis, Ohio, November the 22nd, 1825, at the age of 83. She was buried in the Trotter graveyard near her son's home, and her remains rested there for 76 years. On October 10th, 1901, her remains were reinterred in Monument Park in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, commonly known today as 2 Indy Wee Park. And now you know the story of a very courageous and heroic woman who went by Mad Anne Bailey. If you like these kind of videos, please subscribe to my channel, smash the like button, and until next time, be good to yourself and each other.